You've probably never noticed this. If someone tells you directly to do something, that's easy to recognize. You can say no. But what if someone shapes the situation so carefully that the decision feels entirely your own? We tend to think manipulation means force, threats, pressure, outright lies. Those are easy to spot. But there's a form of influence that looks so ordinary, so polite, that we mistake it for simple kindness. Today, we're looking at one specific behavior, something that happens around us constantly, and yet we almost never recognize it as influence at all. Picture a restaurant. Right before the bill arrives, the server drops off a mint. Nothing is asked in return, just a small gesture. Studies looking at this exact moment found something surprising. 1 mint nudges the tip up slightly. 2 mints. The tip doesn't just double, it roughly quadruples. And if the server walks away, then comes back and says, "Here's an extra one just for you," that small, unexpected gesture alone can raise the tip by about 23%. No one asked for anything. No one said a word. Just a mint. And the behavior changed anyway. This isn't a coincidence. There's a specific psychological pattern behind it. Something social scientists call reciprocity. The internal pull to return what we've been given. It isn't a conscious decision. It's closer to a universal social norm, one found across human societies. In 1960, sociologist Alvin Goldner named it the norm of reciprocity. But here's the real question. If we can look back later and see that a mint shaped our decision, why couldn't we see it in the moment? The answer is in how the mechanism actually works. Psychologist Robert Cialdini described this reaction as fast, almost automatic, happening before conscious thought has a chance to catch up. When we receive something from another person, even something small, it creates a quiet discomfort. And without realizing it, we look for a way to settle it. That's why it feels like, I just decided to tip more. When in reality, a small gesture had already nudged that decision into place. This same pattern isn't confined to restaurants. Think about the workplace. A colleague finishes a task for you that you never asked for. Days later, when they ask for a much bigger favor, you say yes, almost without thinking. The reason isn't logic. It's that somewhere underneath, you feel like you owe them. It shows up in friendships too. Someone keeps doing small things for you. A ride, a small gift, help that arrives right when you need it. Most of the time you barely notice it happening, but an invisible tally builds up. And when that person eventually asks for something, your time, your support, saying no suddenly feels unusually hard. And this is where the real question sits. Is this manipulation? The answer isn't simple. Most of the time, when someone does something kind, the intention is genuine. Building a connection, making someone feel good. That's not manipulation, but the same mechanism used deliberately and repeatedly to steer someone's decisions. A small favor placed strategically, so a bigger request can follow later. Or reminded of constantly, "Look how much I've done for you," stops being simple kindness. Intention is what draws that line, which means influence, persuasion, and manipulation aren't the same thing. In persuasion, your freedom to decide stays intact. You know someone is trying to convince you, and you're still free to say yes or no. In manipulation, that freedom is narrowed quietly, in a way that leaves you unable to trace where the pull even came from. That doesn't mean everyone around you is trying to manipulate you. Most everyday kindness has no hidden agenda behind it. Some forms of influence are simply subtle enough that we read them as ordinary interaction, and most of the time, that's exactly what they are. So how do you tell the difference? It comes down to something more reliable than words: pattern. One kind gesture is usually just kindness, but when someone repeatedly, deliberately offers small favors at moments they know will make you feel grateful, and then uses that gratitude to ask for something each time, that forms a pattern. And a pattern is different from goodwill. So the next time a decision suddenly feels like it was entirely yours, but you can't quite explain why you made it, pause. Ask yourself where that feeling actually came from. Do I genuinely want this? Or am I settling a debt I never agreed to? Just being able to ask that question means you're taking ownership of the decision back. We tend to think being influenced means being weak. It isn't. Being influenced is a normal part of being human. We respond to each other because we're connected to each other. The real question isn't whether you were influenced. It's who created that influence, why they created it, and whether it expanded your decision or quietly narrowed it.